Let's talk about poop. Poop is funny. Poop is gross. Poop is universal. Everyone poops. When humans poop, we flush it down the toilet. Cats poop in a litter box. Dogs poop outside. Cows poop, well, actually, what happens to cow poop? To any livestock poop? Let's just focus on cows for now. Cows are much bigger than a human, they eat much more than a human, and yes, they poop much more than a human. In fact, the least amount a fully grown cow will poop in a day is equivalent to the daily waste of 132 people. And that's a lot of poop. Some farms are small. There will be a few cows, and while the farmers have to be careful about not contaminating water, generally, cows may poop where they please, and nature will take care of it. It will break down and decompose before it hits the water. Some farms, however, are not so small. What happens with the poop in these not-so-small farms? We've talked about what happens to cow poop on small farms, but what about larger farms? Some farms are classified as confined animal feeding operations, CAFOs. These CAFOs have a lot of animals confined in a small space. Here's just a sample of some of the numbers in what's considered a CAFO. A single facility housing either 1,000 beef cattle, 2,500 swine, or 125,000 broiler chickens, which, by any calculation, is a lot of animals. Let's say that a single farm has a population of 1,000 cattle, the smallest farm considered a CAFO. Each cow produces 37 pounds of waste per day. That's a farm total of 37,000 pounds of waste per day. This translates into the amount of poop a city of over 132,000 people would produce in a day, almost the size of the Lansing metro area. But a city of that size is required to treat its waste. It brings all the waste to the wastewater treatment plant, where it is treated to remove pollutants and diseases before being released in the environment. But what happens to CAFO waste? Most of the excrement is placed in storage, in either retention ponds or lagoons. It sits there, untreated, for up to 6 months, and is then placed on fields as plant fertilizer. Sounds reasonable, right? Except, current research from Michigan, Iowa, Missouri, Ohio, North Carolina, all over the nation, show that this is way more waste than the land can handle. The soil can't absorb any more nutrients. The excess is washed away by runoff, or routed off the fields by drainage tiles. Either way, it quickly ends up in the local waterways. But why should we care about that? Poop from large animal farms is applied to the fields, but in such great amounts that the excess makes its way into the local waters. Why does this matter? Well, this matters because the waste doesn't just magically disappear in a river. The literal poop water becomes a source of pollution and disease. We'll start with the pollution aspect. Think about how manure can be used as a fertilizer, a substance that helps plants grow. That is because it contains nutrients, leftover nutrients, that the animal could not absorb. These nutrients, when placed back into the environment, are what contributes to plant growth. All of the excess poop in the water functions as a fertilizer, but for aquatic plant growth. Instead of growing beans or corn, you'll get a lush field of algae. Lily pads too, in severe cases. And this is not a good thing. An excess of algae causes more problems than just an ugly view and a nasty smell. Remember, algae is a living thing, and anything alive eventually dies. The massive amounts of live algae becomes a massive amount of dead algae. Well, what happens to dead things? Dead things decompose. They are broken down into the environment by smaller organisms. This process takes oxygen, and because it's happening on such a large scale, it takes a lot of oxygen, leaving less available in the water, which then becomes problematic for other water life. Fish need oxygen to breathe. Without it, they suffocate. They cannot survive in such an environment. They either swim to other parts of the river or die, leaving us with a dead, stagnant water body that more closely resembles a swamp than a healthy river system. But, believe it or not, this is not the only problem that excess manure in waterway causes. Poop is made of more than just leftover nutrients. There are some nasty strains of bacteria as well. We're going to focus on one in particular, E. coli. E. coli is found in the gut of all mammals, including humans. Thus, it is also present in solid waste. Most strains are harmless, but some can make people sick. It can cause fever, vomiting, cramps, diarrhea, and, in the most severe cases, kidney failure and death. So, to reiterate, excess manure in the water causes both environmental pollution and human health risks, and this is a widespread problem. Let's recap. We have established that all animals poop. When there are a lot of animals, there are large, corresponding amounts of poop. And if not properly treated, this poop enters the environment, causing pollution and disease. Michigan law outlines water quality standards that all water bodies must meet. One of these standards is to provide a healthy environment for native species, and another is to be safe for human recreational use. This video series has made it clear that those last two uses are not being met. Here's the kicker. A CAFO could follow all the laws perfectly, but pollution will still occur. There is just too much poop. The laws of the state are not nearly strong enough to protect the environment. So why are the laws so weak? One reason is that this issue is not well known, so there's a lack of public pressure. Another reason is that agriculture is a vital industry and a big business. In the state of Michigan alone, it is a $104.7 billion practice. Current agricultural practices are focused on yield and efficiency, not environmental stewardship. And the land is paying the cost. But consumers like us are not blameless either. It is our eating habits that drive our agricultural system. There are people and groups who are trying to address this issue, from large operations like Michigan Environmental Council to more local groups like our very own HealthyPineRiver organization. These groups raise awareness and petition lawmakers for greater environmental protection. But what can you do? You can get in touch with your representatives and government officials to express your concerns. You can also donate time and money to organizations that are fighting against this pollution. You can change your eating habits to consume fewer animal products and advocate for solutions to this issue. There's not enough time in this video to go in depth over solutions, but to fix this problem, this large amount of manure cannot be allowed to infiltrate the environment. Any practical solution will address this, whether it's by lowering the number of agricultural animals or placing water treatment plants on the site of every CAFO. Opponents would say that this is too expensive, but the system we have now is actually even more expensive. We are just deferring the cost to the environment, and that's just a load of poop.